Not too bad.
All right.
It's been awful nice weather out.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's cooled down a lot.
Can't
Sure
beat
makes
60 degrees in the morning.
right on. Makes it easy on the flesh when it gets a little bit cooler. That's for sure. Especially when you're out sweating like us good old Amish boys do. You know, we go out and we sweat with our backs to make a living. You know.
Right.
And yeah, it's hard work. Yeah, I was looking, found this, and my mom left me this. This is a family record of her side of the family. My mom was a Yoder, Eli Yoder from Bowling Green, and that's the family record right there. My family's in there. And that's one thing about Amish. They keep records, you know, their ancestry means a lot to them. If you are born Amish, you can have the Anabaptist ancestry, and they hold that above the Bible or anything else is their ancestry, because it's what Grandpa and Grandma did, and what I've talked to a lot of friends of mine, try to lay out the plan of salvation and everything to them, and that they don't have to keep on wearing the black hats and all that stuff, you know. You say, well, this is there's a real big comfort in being Amish, because if you're Amish, they figure they're going to heaven, and that's the only way to get to heaven is to be Amish.
Right.
And so they keep this genealogy, and they can look at it and see how many generations that they've come up through on already, and that's worth a lot to them. That's everything for them. That's what keeps them going. And the fact about it is there's a lot of good in Amish culture, because it's based on family and family values. And if you lose your family values, you lose everything. That's the trouble with our society. We've lost all our family values. People stay together as a family unit no matter how bad it goes and how bad it gets. I've experienced it growing up. And some people, like in our family now, my ex, she grew up Amish and everything, but she, some people just don't value that as much anymore. So that's just the way it is.
Well, being that we kind of made this, this little podcast to kind of tell stories for your grandkids and stuff that you don't get to see a lot.
Oh yeah.
And we're also trying to talk about the Bible and salvation and everything. I think it's important that we ought to talk about why you left the Amish.
Oh yeah. Well, I left because of salvation issue. It was no more required fact that a man needs to. And that's the way with every religion. You should be able to leave. Religion ain't going to get you to heaven. It's the work of God. It's what Christ did on the cross for us. It's what gets us to heaven. So just because I got ancestors that were Anabaptists and died for their faith doesn't mean that's going to get me into heaven.
No.
That's a personal thing with God for every man.
Right.
And it's not something that's handed down from generation to generation. And it has to come from a revelation of God. Not everybody gets that revelation, and so they just stay Amish because that's all they know. Mm-hmm. And they go out and you get married when you're pretty young, too young, probably a lot of them, and they don't believe in avoiding to have kids, so you have big families, and they try to make it work. They can a lot of food and live out of garden and scrimp and save, because it takes a lot of money. A lot of people, a lot of us don't know how to do that, because we all have to have our boat and RV and everything else, and it takes a lot of money to live.
And in today's society, we just pay for convenience pretty much. That we can those 3 deer up,
I know.
And that took us 3 good long hard days of canning.
Right, and smoking the meat,
and meat, and all that, curing it all. People they'd rather go work their job for $30 an hour for that 3 days than they would do that canning.
Oh, absolutely. They can get a lot more money.
And then they just pay for some canned meat at the store, but
right.
The problem with that, in my eyes, is what happens when that meat at the store isn't there anymore.
Well, that can happen. Down the road we'll probably see that someday again. I mean, it happened in the 20s and 30s with the Depression.
Right.
And people had to live off of farms and stuff, and that's basically what Amish do. They just live off the land and live off of helping each other, and working together and things like that. That's not that they have a lot of money. It's just that their money is different.
Right. I don't want to be like the prepper people, you know, not that there's anything wrong with being a prepper.
Right.
But so many people are obsessed with end of the world, and
Right.
nuclear apocalypse, or whatever
Right.
your deal is, you know. I'm less thinking about that and more thinking about everyone should have the knowledge to be self-sufficient.
Right.
You don't have to live off grid. You don't have to be off the power grid. You don't have to be off the cell phone grid. That's not what matters. What matters is what can you do if we do have a depression or something, you know.
Right. What can you do to survive?
What can you do? Yeah.
Yeah, you can buy a lot of solar panels. I know a lot of friends and stuff that have a lot of big solar systems, but unless the government gives you a lot of credits to put it in, it's very expensive, and it takes, they say it takes 10 years to pay for a solar system, and by then
the solar panels will wear out.
Yeah, the panels will wear out, and you have to start over again.
And you look at the Great Depression, you know, that started in the 20s, and it went all the way into the 40s.
Well, to World War II.
Yeah, to World War II. And even in World War II, people were still dirt poor.
Oh, yeah.
And what are you going to do when the Depression goes on for more than 10 years and your solar panels wear out? You know?
Right. Yeah, no, that's nasty. That's nasty.
I think it's more about, like, learning the value of...
well, we need to get to... What we really need to, Nate, we need to get back to learning the value of a dollar because, they're printing all this. Like, right now, they've passed this recession, this stimulus bill again, whatever they call it, Inflation Reduction Act. That's the biggest joke that you can get because the more money you print, the more it becomes worthless, and the value of the dollar has completely went south for us.
Yeah.
So pretty soon we're going to be the dollar's not going to be worth anything, so we're going to be swapping for food and stuff. And
that's what they did during the Depression. You went out and found a farmer who's willing to let you work for some potatoes or some...
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen, to be honest with you. I do know one thing, that unless somebody gets some balls and starts turning this thing around, we're going south. I mean, there's no two ways about it, because we ain't nobody's going to buy electric cars. Electric cars are they're just not, they're not sustainable.
No, and they make the argument too that it's in the early stages of development, which it probably is. But if you look at what it takes to make a battery that's big enough to run a car 100 miles,
right? The
pollution it takes to make that battery is just you just will go buy a gas car.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no point.
Absolutely. A horse now. You take a horse for instance now. A horse, that's renewable energy. There, you can put the horse out to graze, and it'll get you to town. It might take you an hour to go 10 miles, but it'll get you there and back.
Right.
And that's renewable energy.
Oh, yeah.
That horse will eat the grass and shit out and fertilize his own grass, and it'll renew itself.
And this is a hill I'm willing to die on. Because it bothers me that you have all these politicians, and not just politicians, but people on Facebook and stuff, and they go off on how we're killing the planet, and we ought to be doing this, but then they post a picture and they're flying to some other country, or
right, exactly,
or they're out driving their car around. Even if they got a battery car, the pollution it takes to make that battery. If you really believe that we are ending the world from what we are doing,
right,
and you're still willing to go buy stuff from Walmart, because
right.
China's the number one polluter in the world.
In the world, yeah.
In the world, but yet everybody buys stuff from them.
Right.
People, and they make it with slave
labor.
Slave labor.
Absolutely.
You're supporting, by going to Walmart and shopping and buying stuff from China, you are supporting slave labor. You're supporting the idea of slavery.
Right.
You're supporting pollution. You're supporting the number one polluter on the planet.
Right.
And if you buy any kind of car, like if you really believe the world's ending and you should shut your electric off at your house, you should get rid of your car. You should walk everywhere.
Right.
You should produce all your own food.
Well, get a bicycle too.
And get a bicycle, ride it around, and make that bicycle last. Don't just go buy a new one when something breaks on you. Fix that sucker.
See, we grew up Amish, and we weren't even allowed bicycles in our church, but that would have been a real neat thing if we could have had bicycles, but because then you can pump your legs to give your ass a ride.
Right.
That works.
It's good exercise.
It's good exercise.
But like I said, it's a hill I'll die on, because I get so tired of people, going off on how the world's ending because of what we're doing, but yet they're not even willing to inconvenience themselves just a little bit to try to save the earth. Like, if I really believe something, I'm going to do whatever it takes to stop whatever that is.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, because if I actually believe it.
Absolutely. Like your food intake, for instance. If you're going to drink a lot of soda and sugar and stuff, you're just, or smoking cigarettes, I don't care what it is, or working in a plant that has, say, a lot of pollution, chemicals and stuff. I've worked in chemical plants, and it made me sick, so I got out of it. And that's just the way it is. You got to make a choice in your life, whether you want to, yeah.
And that's why I say that we've become a society of convenience,
Oh, absolutely.
We're willing to literally end our life years sooner just for some convenience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. Have a little fun, Have fun.
That's one thing the Amish have figured out. They work hard. They, like you said, they produce all their own food and stuff. But if you look at, say, your dad, he lived to be 87 years old. Mm-hmm. And he worked every day of his life.
Absolutely. Hardest working man I ever knew in my life.
And people say that, oh, you shouldn't work that hard. You're going to tear your body up. You're going to be, when you get 60, you ain't going to be able to move. I remember Grandpa moved in with us, and he was in his 70s probably when he moved there.
So
or late 60s at least.
Right, getting close to 70.
That old man, he worked us,
Oh, absolutely.
He outworked us kids, us young boys. He was.
Oh, he was a hard-working man right there.
And I think it's less about, I think hard work is something that should be valued.
Yeah. And I have no problem with people that do office work but they need to have a rigid workout system. Have either workout gym at their house or then go to a gym and work out.
Yeah, it's important to stay physically active.
Absolutely, it doesn't matter. There's nothing wrong with having desk work and having an office job, but you've got to take care of your body, because if you don't, God only gave you one run at it, and you better take care of it, what you got. Mm-hmm. Just like COVID, they invented COVID to get rid of all the old people, and almost fixed me too, boy. It fixed a lot of these old guys around here. But you know what? It don't matter if you take enough vitamins and stuff. I've been reading up a lot, and if you can get enough zinc and things like that, magnesium and zinc and copper and things like that, and get your body built up, or you can it'll resist a lot of these things they try to throw at you.
Oh yeah, and that's another thing too, is looking into things like learn how to make your own vitamins.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Or finding out a source of vitamins that that's easy to obtain.
That's something I want to do on a podcast. Is once I get, I got all the recipes to make most of your herbal tinctures and everything, and I need to set up a room and just do herbal tinctures and show people how to do that, because that's something that's worth an awful lot if you can make your own tinctures.
That's something your sisters and your brother-in-laws and brother-in-law. Down in Kentucky, there's a settlement down there.
Heston,
Heston, Kentucky. They do a lot of that.
Oh, absolutely.
Natural healing.
Oh yeah, they got herbal doctors and things down there. Yeah, they. My sister gave me all their recipes and everything. I just need to set up to do it, and I need to go down there and get some more tinctures and stuff. But that kind of stuff there is valuable, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you are. We all have issues. Mm-hmm. And but like I say, God gives us wisdom to discern between good and evil, so we should always choose the good and what's good for us. And I know, like the other day, I went and got somebody gave me a milkshake. I shouldn't have had the milkshake, because man, that made my sugar go crazy. I gotta really watch it. But it's crazy when you get old like this. Yeah, we all have to buckle up and try to find a better way to live. Mm-hmm. Because one thing about it, we only got one life to go through. And the standard of our living should be, we should be able to, with all the technology and everything we got, the knowledge we got, the internet, Google it and stuff like that, we should be able to figure out how to live to where we don't destroy ourselves, But that's up to each one of us. We have to make a choice. We have to make a choice.